Welcome to LifeNSkills, a space where we explore something many of us are quietly feeling about life, learning, growth, and everything in between. Today, let's discover the hidden power of creativity. When was the last time you created something just because you wanted to? Not because you had to, not because someone asked you to, not because it would get you marks, likes, or appreciation. Maybe you painted, wrote something, took a photograph, changed a recipe, found a different solution to a problem. That little moment of I made this is creativity. And yet, somewhere between childhood and adulthood, many of us begin to believe that creativity belongs to other people. The artists, musicians, designers, inventors. But what if creativity is not a special talent? What if it is something much more fundamental? Our way of seeing, thinking, expressing, and living? Let's explore. Creativity is the ability to bring something new into the world. An idea, an expression, a solution, a connection, or simply a different way of looking at something familiar. And it has many faces. Creativity is much broader. A doctor choosing a different treatment, an engineer designing a safer bridge, a teacher creating a fun learning activity, a child building a castle from cardboard boxes. All of them are being creative. It is the ability to see possibilities where others see limitations, to connect ideas that don't seem connected, to imagine better ways of doing something. At its heart, creativity begins with curiosity. What if? What if I try this? What if I look at it differently? What if there is another way? And that question can lead us in two very different but equally important directions: creative expression and creative problem solving. Let's begin with the side we usually associate with creativity: artistic expression, painting, music, writing, photography, dance, craft, storytelling. Art gives us something that ordinary conversations sometimes cannot: a language for what we feel. Think about a child who cannot explain why they are upset but can draw a dark cloud over a little house. Or someone who cannot put their feelings into words but finds comfort in music. Or a person who captures a quiet sunset because that moment means something to them. Art allows us to express, explore, and process our inner world. It can strengthen observation, it can develop imagination, it can make us more comfortable with ambiguity, because art doesn't always have one correct answer. And perhaps most importantly, art teaches us that our perspective matters. Two people can look at the same sunset and paint two completely different pictures. Neither has to be wrong. That is the beauty of artistic creativity. It gives us permission to see the world in our own way. But creativity doesn't stop at the canvas. Look around us. Some of the world's most successful innovations began with a simple question: is there a better way? Uber didn't invent transportation, it reimagined how people access it. Airbnb didn't build hotels, it reimagined how people find a place to stay. Netflix didn't invent movies, it reimagined how we watch them. And creativity doesn't have to create a billion-dollar company. A teacher can turn a lesson into a game. A small business owner can find a better way to reach customers. A parent can turn bedtime into a storytelling adventure. So creativity is not always about creating something completely new. Sometimes it's about seeing something familiar differently. Now comes an interesting question. If creativity can have so many forms, can we actually measure it? Not in the same way we measure a maths answer. Instead, researchers often look at the questions like fluency. How many ideas can we generate? Flexibility. Can you look at the same problem in different ways? Originality. Can you move beyond the obvious? Elaboration. Can you develop a simple idea into something richer, meaningful? So creativity is not a random inspiration. It is a skill that can be observed, nurtured, and strengthened through practice. The more we experiment, question, and explore, the more possibilities we begin to see. Why does creativity matter? Because tomorrow's problem may not have yesterday's answers. The World Economic Forum consistently lists creativity among the most important future workplace skills. But creativity is not valuable only at work. It helps us solve conflicts, adapt to change, communicate ideas, design better experiences, start businesses, and even navigate personal challenges. For children, creative activities can also make learning more engaging. Instead of only asking, "What is the answer?" we can ask, "How many ways you can solve it?" And this is where creativity becomes more than an artistic ability. It becomes a life skill. If creativity is so important, why do we sometimes stop valuing it? Because creativity is difficult to measure. Exam can easily score the correct answer. They rarely reward an unusual question. Schools often have limited time. Parents naturally worry about marks. Workplaces often prefer predictable outcomes. And somewhere along the journey, many of us quietly learn that fitting in feels safer than standing out. Slowly, we stop asking why. We stop experimenting. We stop making mistakes. We learn that mistakes can have consequences. And gradually, experimentation can feel risky. We may stop asking, "What if?" and start asking, "What is expected?" And slowly, we choose approval over expression. Creativity doesn't necessarily disappear. Sometimes, we simply stop giving it room. It becomes hidden beneath the fear of judgment, perfectionism, or the pressure to always be right. And when you decide to create again, the journey may not always feel easy. Every original idea begins as something unfamiliar. History is full of people whose ideas were questioned before they were celebrated. The first person to imagine flying, the first person to suggest the earth moved around the sun, the first entrepreneur who believed an impossible idea could become reality. Creative people often spend time imagining things others cannot yet see. That can sometimes feel lonely, but loneliness and purpose are not the same. A creative journey may have fewer companions, yet it often brings deeper meaning. Sometimes the reward is much simpler. You met something that didn't exist before. You expressed something that was difficult to say. You solved something in your own way. You discovered something about yourself. That itself can be deeply fulfilling. And perhaps this is the part of creativity we don't talk about enough: freedom. When you create, you step outside the need to follow one predetermined path. You can experiment, change your mind, start again, make mistakes, try something unexpected. So, if your creative journey sometimes feels like a lonely road, don't be too quick to turn back. Some roads are worth walking, not because everyone is working with you, but because you love where they lead. These moments may never receive applause, but they can give you something very personal: the freedom to express who you are. So, before we end, I just want you to remember one thing. Creativity is not about creating something extraordinary every time. Don't let the fear of being imperfect silence the part of you that wants to create. Sometimes, it's simply giving yourself the freedom to say, "Let me try." And perhaps that's where creativity begins again. So keep your curiosity alive, keep making space for ideas, and most importantly, keep creating. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to LifeNSkills, where we explore the life skills, human skills, and future-ready skills that help us grow, not just professionally but personally. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, keep becoming.